Still soft, packs a punch, always surprising. That's the movie.
It is. Oh, there you go.
We just started this interview. This is definitely going to be the world's most serious interview that you do all day today.
Oh, good.
Yeah, not at all. I want to start with the stunts because your coat is named after the stunt coordinator.
So my coat is named Fernando, which is named after Fern, our stunt coordinator, who worked with Gavin to give us a really kick-ass action movie.
Really kick-ass, and there's a lot of Muay Thai in this. Is that correct? Yeah, that's it. Correct then.
Well, we definitely spent some time in a particular gym that, certainly for me, as someone who, I've had my moments of a little bit of action here and there, mostly sword work, weirdly.
We're aware.
Yeah, but Muay Thai was new.
Wait, hang on. But I'm going to say something.
You sound so diplomatic, like you're running for office.
Cynthia should run for office.
I agree.
No, Cynthia and I had to go together, right? And so she had never done Muay Thai. I had never really done Muay Thai. I'd done a ton of boxing and a ton of other stuff. Anyway, so I had to hold the pad for her kicks. And I'm like, kind of just like not really paying attention.
Uh-oh.
What the?
No way.
Yes way. Remember I told you, I was like, dude, your kicks are insane. Like they hurt.
Awesome.
They're just not very high.
Doesn't matter, I don't think.
Shin kicks.
Yeah.
Shin kicks.
That's Muay Thai.
There you go. And it's like, because immediately you say not high, I'm like, I want to protect my knee just sitting next to you knowing this
It hurts.
now.
I won't kick.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Can't promise anything.
Where do the strong kicks come from? Is it like a
Where does that come from?
I must be channeling something, right?
All that diplomacy can lead to rage every now and then.
Right, that's the thing. It's like Mary Beth is chill until she's not chill.
Yeah.
And then she's ready. She's like, I'm conflicted about many things.
I feel like that describes me, Cynthia.
Okay.
So maybe that's like me trying to sort of fuse something of myself, something of my own energy, but this is sort of the alternate universe version of me where I get to inhabit Mary Beth and be somebody who is way cooler than I, Cynthia, am. And certainly is guided by, just her sense of justice.
Yeah.
And sort of trying to do what she thinks is right. And there's a bit of an evolution of how that's defined, I would say, over the course of the movie. I'm being very diplomatic.
Yeah.
Incredibly diplomatic.
Well, right. And I mean, and I wanted to ask you, like, coming back to this character, was there sort of a new understanding about her that you came into? Because this is a continuation of the story and, like, she's been through some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because this is the first time in my career I've ever played the same character, but 8 years later. And so I think not only is there maybe an understanding about Mary Beth, but I think there was just literally a real understanding about myself. Like, we've all been through some things in the last 8 years.
That's
Can I
true.
say that safely? And so it's always interesting when you kind of have an opportunity within a character to bring hopefully some of your own life experience, wisdom, evolution, etc., and assume that the character has also had that. And I actually didn't know what to expect because I didn't know what the story was going to be when I got the script. So I had a sense of, okay, career-wise, she's sort of stepped into, Ray King, played by JK Simmons. She sort of stepped into that role. And so there's that
You're
aspect.
a dead ringer for him, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
The versatility, But it was also interesting to just have a sense of, how has she changed as a person, matured as a person? Hopefully I have, and I think Mary Beth has, and you're going to see all of the challenges that are thrown her way by some of this crazy cast of characters.
it looks wild. I'm excited for people to see it because this is really an interesting continuation. And when the first movie came out in 2016, like a shocking surprise hit, because I remember when we all went to go see it as press, everybody's just like, oh, it's a new Ben Affleck movie, it's cool. I think that there's a certain expectation around pieces when you know who's in them, right? And which is sort of how the machine works. And then it all just got turned on its head. And everybody's like, holy shit, this movie's a total surprise. And what is the pressure like for you going in directing the second one? Did you feel like, how do I up the ante on this? Or was it just all there for you in the script already?
No, well, I mean, it was in the script, but it wasn't in the script until it was in the script. It was a lot of Bill and I rolling up sleeves and kind of, where do we want to take the story? Once I got into post on the first film, he and I started talking about the second and third because we always knew we were heading in a direction. Yes. So it was like, okay, so this is the interstitial movie. I knew there were plot elements that were really important to me that I wanted to build the movie around, subject matter, and then I knew that I wanted to explore the relationship between the two brothers who are both searching for love and connection. And they first need to fix each other and work out their stuff. So I knew that was important and wanted to explore that. And also bringing Mary Beth in. I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but sort of the key in the ignition of the story is something happens with Ray, and then, well, I guess it's in the trailer, so people are going to know. And then the other thing was bringing Mary Beth in because she's obviously represents it, working for FinCEN. She's on the right side of the law, and she's by the book. Now she has to work with Chris, who works on the other side of the law. So I knew there was a lot of fun to mine between that. And then if you throw Brax in that devil's cocktail, we have a lot of potential interesting things that can happen. So she sort of becomes in the middle of these two bonker brothers. And in a way, she's sort of the straight man with the two of them. But the other thing I just want to mention that Mary Beth or Cynthia was saying about Mary Beth is that there are things that didn't work its way into the movie vis-a-vis her character's backstory. Because we kind of worked out the 8 years. But so even though it's never articulated, all these things that we talked about, because we would talk about them in scenes, even if they're not actually articulated, they work their way into the scenes just behaviorally or just in just the weight of them and the subtext of them. So there was a lot of value I found in doing all that with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice, I think, for all of us as cast to be able to, before we get started and get it up on its feet, have those conversations and try to sort of, just kind of collaboratively decide, like, well, what has...
Yeah. What have you been doing for 8 years, Mary Beth?
Yeah. Not just chilling.
Well, and
she doesn't have 5 kids, and she's there was no wedding band in her family, so like we just have to figure all this out.
Yeah, and I love it as just a movie nerd that gets to have the best job in the world, like hearing the backstory of stuff. I love knowing that that's a process that everybody goes through, that they think about their character outside the project, because it radiates through.
Exactly.
Like, that's what you feel about something, and that's what makes it mean something, is when you know that everybody there cares, and there's more to it than just what's on the page. And I mean, we have a new element in the movie too. So joining up.
Yes.
And
she's scary.
She's scary.
She's very scary. She's too scary for me.
And so
perfect for the movie.
Did everybody have kind of a shorthand from working on the other one that you stepped into like clockwork, or did you have to get used to being part of the family?
No,
and beating everyone's ass.
Yeah. No, I knew it. Yes, I was stepping into something that was existing, but there wasn't sort of like I need to kind of catch up. I think mostly because of all the meetings and everything that, I got to have with Gavin before we started production. I mean, he really cares and was like, we had meetings just talking about what is this person, even if it's not going to make the movie, what is this person's life like?
Yes.
What does she do on her off time?
What did you
apparently
figure
she's very
out?
Antisocial, I think is what we we came up with.
Because I don't picture this character like hanging out with friends at a coffee shop.
Yeah, no.
Like what
no,
content?
Probably not on the apps.
What backstory can you share with us? Like, so as everybody gets introduced to this character, not a spoiler necessarily, but just like a little something we wouldn't know otherwise.
Well, I would say something I probably could say is that she's very, very smart. This is a movie about neurodivergent people. Mm-hmm. So she is someone who is incredibly brilliant and bright, but maybe like in real life where you have people who are incredibly bright and they have high IQs, but they can be very destructive. So I think that she's somewhere in that neurodivergent world, but I won't say too much.
Something that makes me think of is also possibly underestimated.
Oh, all the time. Well, if you're a lady, Right? You're underestimated just from the jump.
Sure.
Oftentimes, not always, but it happen. Which is, I think, in her mind, something that she would use it as her advantage.
Right.
To be underestimated is a key.
I also think the thing that always resonated with me, and I feel like it's true for like this core four, is that they're all kind of like these lone wolves. Like
Right.
they're all people that socially, it's not like they've got so many people in their orbit, and they kind of forge their own path. And so in the movie, it's like, well, what happens when you have like a lone wolves that kind of have to work together, just out of necessity.
Right.
But
Tag team.
I always like related to that. I always found it quite interesting that these people are sort of not necessarily lonely. There's an aspect of that, certainly for the brothers, but there's like a sort of a solitude and a very sort of like internal thing with each of them. So it's interesting to watch them as individual characters navigating stuff, but then all kind of coming together in that way too.
Right. And then when they're bumping into each other and having to work together and they're working towards a common goal.
Yeah.
In theaters coming up soon.
Also, I just want to point something out. So I saw the first movie in theaters with my dad, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but my dad loves this movie. And the reason why he loves the movie is because when we left the theaters after seeing the first one, my dad was like, "It's so cool. Like he makes all that money, but he saves it. He's like he puts all his money away. He's got millions of dollars. But did you see his house? It's very economical." And that was like my dad got so hyped on like how he pinched his pennies. So there's something in it for everybody.
Oh my, that's so wholesome.
My dad really loved that.
Oh my God, that's great. I always think about like the accountant. Like, what other profession that is so low key? So could we make cool next? I'm excited that you're saying that this was always envisioned as a trilogy because, P.S., this doesn't feel like a middle movie to me.
Okay.
Middle movies always kind of feel like they're just bridging the gap. But I wouldn't have guessed that there's a third one potentially because this doesn't seem like it has that issue. But
Well, once as we knew, like interstitially, certain things were going to happen. But after that, I was not. I was just making a movie that I wanted to really refresh the tank and do something entirely new. And I didn't want to it had to obviously have the DNA of the first film. But beyond that, I really wanted to attempt to bend the genre and not do what's expected, and then attack it like it's its own movie, even though we have the idea of where it's going to go from there. But it also it had to feel like it was his own film, and it was completed in a way that if you wanted to end there, their story's over.
done. So what profession could we make cool next? That's like so low key.
Uber Eats delivery drivers.
Done.
There you go.
I'd watch
Shout
that.
out to all my delivery people.
Yes.
Who bring me food. Who did during COVID, by the way.
Oh,
that could
bless.
be a dangerous job.
A dangerous job, a frustrating job,
An unpredictable job.
Unpredictable. I
Traffic.
Sold. Okay, Hollywood's listening. Go ahead.
Dentist?
Nice.
That's like Final Destination.
That's like my worst nightmare.
Yes.
But they're such. Imagine just looking in someone's mouth every day. I would find that so boring.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
Just-
apparently have. I won't go into details, but they've got like certain rates or patterns that are known amongst dentists. They're not always happy people.
No kidding.
Mine is very happy.
What do you mean by that?
Not mine.
I think they have like high.
Oh, really?
That like looking into people's mouths equals sadness is sort of what I.
geez.
Maybe.
Not
They're
for mine.
hunting
The
people.
abyss.
So
Not
they're-
yours. Not. But
No, you're looking in your mouth brings joy to.
Yeah, that's right.
everyone.
Mostly
I'm
annoying
happy.
because he tells me I need to be quiet.
low key profession. Right? Like I'm trying to think. I'm mentally scrawling it on my arm now. Call the.
I know. Ophthalmologist?
Oh, another. I like that too.
You know what? Now I know part two.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I bet that ophthalmologists really understand like human nature because they're always looking in your eyes.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it could be also like a kind of Clark Kent Superman, like maybe, they got the glasses on.
Oh, yeah,
It's one
building
persona,
eye tech.
Glasses off.
And then he can have X-ray vision. He can
Yeah.
actually see through people, right?
hell
So
yeah.
we can do that. There's a lot we can do
Hollywood,
with
are you
this.
listening?
They are.
The
They are.
ophthalmologist.
I'm putting my arm up and we're gonna superimpose. Just call the eyeglasses. Sold. I love it.
All right.
Now I have to ask you about Rings of Power.
Yes.
Okay, because CBR, our audiences freak out over that show. Like, I want to talk. What can you talk about what's next for the Queen? What do you hope for her?
I cannot talk about much. That's
Yeah,
always
I
the
know.
biggest challenge.
I know.
The question I've been asked from like friends and family, I would say the number one question: do I get my vision back?
Yes, exactly.
And I don't know.
You don't.
I don't know the answer.
What do you know?
I don't know much. I know we're going back to start season 3 this year. And that's kind of mostly what I know.
What is this is one of those like so inside baseball questions that I might lose some people with this, but I couldn't care less because I want to know how the scripts are delivered to you. Because I assume that there's a certain amount of secrecy. Is that the case?
Yes.
Hologram.
Yeah. I feel like a lot, audiences are so savvy, right? I mean, now it's like if you even have a whiff of something, it's hard to rein it in once it's out there. So I understand the levels of secrecy around things. It's on an iPad, like the iPad, so that's the only thing. I like having a tangible script. I like paper scripts.
Oh, me too.
They give it to you on an iPad, and
You have a work iPad, and it only comes digitally.
Wow.
So that was a big adjustment for me because I still like paper, and I like to highlight, and I like to make notes, and I like to keep my old scripts. I still have, by the way, in a box, I have my first accountant script all marked up and tabbed. I still have that.
I love it.
Yeah, like I keep my paper scripts because I like to just, you never know when you can have to pull them out and refer to something.
Put them on eBay, get some money.
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember like a note that you wrote for Mary Beth? Like, is there like an impression maybe that you first had of her, something you might have scrawled in there? I know it's kind of a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest, I couldn't refer to a note, but what I will say is I remember when I got the job, and I even remember, now that we're being all sort of reflective about it, I just remember how nervous I was. I was so nervous, and I think, as Mary Beth was sort of a bit wide-eyed and not necessarily naive, but like I think that was me. I think it was sort of like, how did I end up here? Like, and I was working with JK, and I was kind of just trying to process it all. And this time around, what was lovely is, I was coming back to this character that I knew very intimately, but years had passed, but there were so many of the same people involved. Like, I kind of almost can't imagine, like, I can't imagine you, like, not being there. I can't imagine it sort of all coming together with all the same elements. So I felt a sense of confidence, and I felt different. I felt different on this movie. I felt more sort of connected in some way, and that was like...
We had a lot of the same crew back. Can I ask you a question?
That's great.
It's interesting. So, because your first day was with JK.
Yes, yeah.
And I did see nerves.
Did you?
No. But I wasn't sure because the character was nervous. Even though you were covering, you were getting called out and exposed, sitting in front of him, right? So was it Mary Beth or was it Cynthia? But I asked this because your first day was with JK, and I didn't see any nerves at all. I was like,
What are you talking about?
I did not. I'm telling you, I'm like, she's fucking ice. She's ice.
No, I was freaking
Were you really?
out. Yes, of course I was. Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm not going to be like, well, JK, I'm so high, I'm a big fan. Like, but I was sweating.
Were you really?
Yes.
You know what? Did not see it. You covered that well.
Oh, man, I was sweating. Yeah, no.
I think I saved my like fangirl moment with JK. Like toward the end, I just remember being in the van with him one day, and I was like, I'm a huge fan of Oz. Like, I loved you in Oz, and I know you do. And he's like a Broadway guy. He'd done like Guys and Dolls.
Oh, yeah.
He's amazing.
He's the best.
No,
the
he's
best.
legendary. No, when you work with an actor like that, it's like you get nerves. It's so funny because I think the kind of actors that people think you get nervous around are like some humongous, like, I'm not gonna name anyone, but when you work with someone who you deeply, deeply respect, who's like a heavy hitter in what you do, it's like that's when the nerves come on for me anyway.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, because I sit across from people whose work I've admired for years, right? That have like formed my brain in certain ways.
Yeah.
But the ones I get nervous in front of, it's like Al Gore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, wow, that's a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
And like, so JK Simmons is actually a neighbor of ours, right? And I'm such a huge fan. And one time, Whiplash had just come out, and he was jaywalking. I'll call him out right now. It was illegal what he was doing.
Tahunga?
Yep.
Tahunga?
was. And he goes, and he's walking across the street, and I'm driving at the speed limit so I didn't hit him. Thank God. Could you imagine? And he paused and he looked at me, and he looked at me mad, like I was doing something wrong. And I had my window down, so I just went, "Not my tempo."
Did you really? Oh, that's great.
Did he like that?
He actually stopped and laughed.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
And
a
then
great
he just
line.
kept
And then he
walking.
threw a drumstick
That's
at you.
a great line.
I walked in the door of our house, and my husband goes, "How was your day?" And I went, "It was fucking great."
That's awesome.
That's great.
He did this thing that so like of course I had to do like a million takes, and JK did his in like 3 takes, I think. He did this thing, and I couldn't believe that I was like falling for it. It was like he was stopping, like and I thought that he was stopping the scene. And so then I kind of broke, and then I realized that he wasn't breaking. It was so realistic. His behavior is so realistic. I thought he was dipping out of character.
searching. He was searching.
But he did this 3 times in a row, and I fell for it every time. That's how good of an actor he is. I'm not like it's weird.
I have to let you move on to your next thing, but I think the only way to wrap this up is like, thank you for sharing all of this with me, a total movie nerd, but like also Ben Affleck and is in the film too.
And John Bernthal.
John Bernthal, he's there, and next time I'm going to ask for all the dirt on them because I got my JK dirt. So also I like to theorize every time I see him that different things his JK stands for.
Oh, wow.
Jumpin' Kitten he liked the most.
Just kidding.
Oh, jumping kid, just kidding.
Just kidding Simmons, and he's not kidding in this movie.